Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and of course the new seasonal event, the Lunar Awakening. This seasonal event is attempting to improve upon the last one, the Midwinter Blight, by being more involved in normal gameplay. So it comes into play for whispers, your dungeon runs, it'll help with your leveling speed if you're thinking about an ult, at least in theory, not as much as we hope, alongside introducing updated shrine buffs and effects that should carry you if you get them in a nightmare dungeon and so on. I do think it's a good step in the right direction for how these minor events go, but as always there is some classic Blizzard comedy going on with, say, the new protection shrine buff that's meant to reflect damage and keep you invulnerable at the same time. Well, it's not actually stopping damage over time effects, so you can die while, quote, invulnerable. Though I have to say the event feels much less awkward to engage with. I leveled up to the max rep of 10 very quick compared to last time. So let's cover all the details you need to know to do it yourself. So, the event, Lunar Awakening. It started today as I make this video on February 6th, and the event lasts 2 weeks, ending on February 20th. Just like the Winter Blight event, you have new rewards, and they're a lot better this time. Cosmetics that are achievable through normal gameplay, including things like a new body marking, which does look cool, or the mount trophy, or most importantly, actual mount skin that you don't have to pay for, which is definitely unusual in current age Blizzard. Naturally, there's still a bunch of stuff that you have to pay for in the shop tied to the event, and they're often more interesting than the free stuff. The theme is obviously tied to the Chinese New Year as we enter this new year, the Year of the Dragon. To find the new shrines, you'll just bump into them or spot them on your map or mini-map with a new icon to make it clear. But these shrines are like a statue of a dragon. You find them like a normal shrine in the open world, but there's also new whispers where there's a shrine to go defeat. A bunch of waves of enemies come in, a normal event we've seen many times. But at least it's a good event for XP drops. There is a really important passive detail to these new shrines though. Whatever shrine buff you pick up, during it you've got a 50% bonus to your XP and also a nice 30% increase to movement speed. The numbers are really good, but I wouldn't recommend you get too excited. It does seem like you're only getting that big XP buff while you've got a shrine buff going, which doesn't last very long. Fortunately, the shrines are happening consistently everywhere and you will find them in dungeons, so it'll still be helpful for the XP. To really kick things off though, you can start the event officially in Ked Bardu in the Dry Steppes, where we meet that new NPC Ying Yue. Here we interact with the new bounty board system for this event, pretty standard stuff. 10 levels total where you progress and get a bunch of rewards as you go, be that gold, items, the new free cosmetics, and importantly, the guaranteed sigil drops for Nightmare Dungeons and Vaults. That's important because during this event, we have a new positive affix for any Nightmare Vault or dungeon you're going to do. It might appear on the sigil as the new Ancestral Shrine buff. It equates to 2 or maybe 3 Ancestral Shrines in that dungeon, and because the new shrine buffs are genuinely insane, you'll destroy those dungeons with that positive affix within. So let's talk about what those new shrines actually are. They've taken the original shrine buffs and enhanced them. That means they're keeping the original effects, but now there's just more stuff added on. So during that buff time, you'll get the 50% increased XP, the 30% movement speed for any and all of them, but specifically take the artillery shrine. That now also throws out these holy bombs, meaning the shrine is even more bursty because of that. With a little AoE the bomb, it maybe kills any survivors of the initial effect. So you've got the original many ticks of damage, but now you've got a heftier AoE burst on top. There's the new blast wave, which essentially causes the holy bombardments around the original AoE, also making it more consistent for pack clearing since the AoE has a bit of a wider range effect. And it's also going to kill elites or mini bosses much more effectively. Next we have the new channeling shrine, better attack speed, sure, but most importantly a chance to reset your cooldowns fully on a kill. This feels super good. In my case, it means I can have something strong like Bone Storm consistently active for a huge DPS increase. When you're killing many mobs at once, this reset is happening all the time. So for raw power potential, I actually think this might be the best shrine during the event. Though the Conduit shrine competes, still the normal Conduit ball, but now you have these holy strikes around your location as you go. This combined with the 30% movement speed buff from any shrine that's active, you're just like flying, sprinting, teleporting through. I think this might be the best buff for speed clearing dungeons because you're moving so quick, killing everything as you go. One of the more interesting shrines for new mechanics though will be Greed, which is basically the same thing, more gold drops, but you might spawn in a loot goblin now, and per 25 kills during the buff's timer, you'll spawn another one. This means lots of extra drops, items of value rather than just gold, but obviously it's still the worst shrine if you're looking for a combat buff. Still, it's a welcome update to this boring shrine, and it's one that I would hope to see stay after the event goes. Lethal's still fantastic for the huge crit it provides, but now it might even instant kill weak enemies, the ones that aren't like bosses or players. and it also might fear survivors nearby. That's awkward because enemies might run away in fear away from an ideal AoE spot, making clearing a bit awkward sometimes. Then you've got protection, which is, yeah, immunity to damage, but it reflects the damage sent your way in this new version. That's neat, but like I mentioned at the start, it is bugged right now to let damage over time still hurt you, which is funny, but I'm sure they're going to patch that out. Overall, the new shrines are the originals, but stronger, on top of the XP and movement speed buffs during. So I do like them a lot. How are you going to find these shrines consistently? Well, they're appearing now as a positive affix on sigils during the event. That does mean a normal Nightmare Dungeon sigil, or the new Vault sigils, which is a relief. It's logical that they'd want, you know, the new affix to be on the new vaults, the content they want you to do, but it's Diablo 4 devs we're talking about. I could entirely imagine them accidentally only including that on normal sigils, and the way that it was written in the announcement for the event, it sounded like it would be. The fastest way to get this new affix on a dungeon sigil though is to open one of those bag rewards from the Reputation bounty board. They'll give you multiple sigils and they always have the new affix on it, so it's a good way to get that going. The new affix is great beyond the shrines though, because if you do get that new positive affix, you're going to have a 10% increase to the glyph XP at the end of that dungeon. Since we have the Gauntlet coming soon and you're going to want your main glyphs level to 21, I'd actually recommend you do these new affix dungeons while you can with that in mind. On the other hand, there's the new Whispers. Much less exciting than I imagined. It's basically a new icon on the map. If there's an area where Whispers are going, there's probably a new shrine icon. If you go to that, you'll find shrines in the area. Just be aware that if you see the Whisper on the map, that doesn't mean there's a shrine right there on that icon. It just means that there are new shrines in that zone currently, and you'll need to actually find them once you're there. I found that detail very unintuitive. It seems I wasn't the only one. A bunch of people just standing under the icon on the map, wondering where the shrine is. You will need to look around. Finally, let's talk about maximum efficiency for the event. How do you level to 10 with a new rep and get all the rewards as soon as possible? Technically, I think the best way would be to farm the new open world shrines. With that new event, with the waves, you'll be able to kill a bunch of enemies like that. Each kill you do during a lunar shrine buff gives you 5 or 10 of the new rep, but because sometimes you find these lunar shrines and there's no event, or maybe there's just no mobs around, it's inconsistent. The way I reached level 10 super quick then was just by running the new vaults or dungeons with the ancestral shrine affix on it. That way I'm leveling my glyphs faster, I'm getting 2 to 3 guaranteed ancestral shrines, there's always a ton of mobs in a dungeon like that, so I can get loads of rep by clearing those out while I've got the buff. And yeah, overall leveling the reputation to get the rewards was really quick this time. Just make sure that while you've got a shrine buff, you're killing as many enemies as you can, and be aware that you can stack these shrine buffs, but that doesn't increase the amount of rep you get. So I actually would say don't do that. Spread it out so that you're able to kill more enemies with one of these buffs active overall, and that should result in the most rep per run. One final thing to be aware of, and it's definitely a complaint for me, is the class specific cosmetic rewards. If you get one of the cosmetics for another class that you're not normally able to use, well then yeah, you can't use it. But why can't you consume it? Obviously my Necromancer can't use a bow, but why do I need to like make a rogue to go into the stash that's already full where I had to put this cosmetic item, consume it on that rogue, so I finally get my space back and also get the reward that I've earned? This is really dumb. I expect a hotfix to update this soon logically, but I'm also thinking it's not that big of a problem that people are going to complain en masse, so they might just ignore it. And it's yet another example of how it feels like they never actually play these systems themselves to encounter obvious problems like this. With all that said though, that is everything you should know about the event and the details I've learned through playing it. I suggest you take advantage of the event to level your glyphs faster using that new positive affix. Reaching level 10 for the rewards is so much faster and easier than the last event, but honestly with the way the shrines work into normal gameplay, you might end up doing it passively without thinking about it, which is great. I think it's a good change and events should be run like this. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.